Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jennifer Parker from Macomb Intermediate School District, and I'm very excited here to have everyone in our broadcast for Getting Started in the MISchoolData Redesign. I am joined today by my partners in crime, Christy Martin, Dr. Rhonda Provost, and Dr. Lisa Lockman. And we also have some other regional advisory members in the house that we will, you'll enjoy meeting them in the chat box as we move along. Couple of things about today's broadcast. You can join us virtually by joining us on the tiny URL. We will remind you of that hyperlink at the end of today's broadcast. And wanted to say that all the materials today, as well as everything we do in MISchoolData Land, is part of our Train the Trainer network. And so we welcome you as a part of that network, and you'll see this and lots of other resources as we move along. So you see our team. We also are not joined live today with Kathy Miller, but she is a part of our ISD leadership team. Again, I'm Jen. We've got Christy, Lisa, Rhonda, and Kathy that are part of our team that put together today's presentation. As we move through the broadcast, we encourage you guys to be thinking about where are you in the mitten, because you already have a MISchoolData team that supports you. These are the folks that are your regional advisory members. If you are for example, if you're in the Orange region, Lisa and I, as well as Christy, are part of your support team. We've got lots of PDs that we provide, lots of extra resources. So if beyond today's broadcast you want more information, these are the folks that you should reach out to based on the region that you're in. We've got lots of PD opportunities, this being one of them. As we show you the website today, you're going to see a sneak peek of the new support piece that's going to have all the recordings, all kinds of new Train the Trainer materials that we've been working on for the redesign. So be checking back to that frequently. If you are a person that facilitates PD, we're gonna give you a gold mine of stuff. So be checking back regularly. The other thing I'll mention is we've also got the very popular news and notes that is talking points for school leaders that get published every month. If you're a principal or you're a central office person, these are great things to share with parents or with board members, or even with share it down to your principals or your educators that are using the portal. Lots of great resources there. And then lastly, thanks for joining us today, because you guys are one of our kickoff webinars. The Getting Started with MISchoolData Redesign is a part of a webinar series that is going to last all through the school year. You're welcome to view this at any time. This is, you're able to obtain sketches, and this is a 1-hour broadcast. So part of the learning series, join us for this one, and then join us for lots more. We would love to have you. If you are interested in sketches for today's broadcast, you will be asked to click on the hyperlink within the slide deck. So definitely use that link within the slide deck. We will remind you at the end of the broadcast, but your way into the sketch form is by clicking on the link within the slide deck. And here is your unique session attendance, and complete the directions as requested. So our hopes for you today, we want you to know how to access and navigate in the new portal. We are going to give you a couple of quick tours of the dashboards. What are some new landing pages that are going to be a little different than what we're used to. The menus are pretty close to what we're used to, but there is this new thing called a persona. We're also going to help you make connections into what was in the legacy, or what Joe wants us to call the classic site, what was in the old stuff, and what's going to come through in what we call pinholes into the new site. And then lastly, we're hoping you're going to be able to transfer what we share with you into the new site. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Christy Martin, who is going to talk a little bit about our logins and our overview.
Great. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. So for our overview, the MISchoolData site is the official source for Michigan data on pre-kindergarten, kindergarten to K-12, and workforce data. And there's going to be more data loaded over time. We've got multiple levels that we can see, and those levels have been expanded in the new redesigned sites. We're really excited to see that. Everything from a local building level all the way to a college level and county level data. The data is presented in graphs and charts. We'll be able to see trends, as well as be able to download information right from the MISchoolData site to be used in other ways. Very importantly, it's new to have connections, and the connections from MISchoolData to other state sites. Where does the data come from? We have a variety of locations for that. The data that we submit from our local districts to the state, that includes the Education Entity Master, Financial Infrastructure Database, Graduation and Dropout, Michigan Student Data System, the non-public databases, School Infrastructure Database, post-secondary, and then the Registry of Educational Personnel, plus all our assessment data. And this data can be accessed both on the public side as well as if you have a login for secure users. We have a legacy site that is our current MISchoolData site. We'll call that Classic. So our legacy site will be located at legacy.myschooldata.org when the new site goes live, which should happen at the end of the month. We have a new site that will take over the myschooldata.org, and the older site will still be available to us for a period of about 2 months.
And I just want to comment on that. I know we've gotten a ton of questions from folks that will my information be available in the old site? Will I still be able to get there? And please know that it is there, but it will be coming through on the new site through the pinhole, and the legacy site will go away.
For a quick overview of the site, it looks a little bit different, but it's wonderful because we have less than 1 or 2 clicks to get to real data without having to choose a bunch of different selections. So this particular view is a quick overview that was provided by CEPI, and also a quick start guide that is linked right from this page. Starting at the top, we have sign in and your general kind of organization or management of your experience. And then down from there, we'll be going through the various menus, as well as how to navigate the site very quickly, where things are literally at your fingertips. How do I connect and access MISchoolData? The great news is that if you were part of the migration, so many people received emails saying, please connect my login for third-party account to your work email address, and then your user information and permissions automatically will come over into the new redesigned site. This is the My Login for Third-Party account and setup. If you do not have an account, you can sign up for an account. If you don't know if you have an account, what I've done is I've gone in under sign up. I put in my work email address, and the system's smart enough to tell me, hey, you already have an account. Or I can go ahead and set up a new one. If you have questions about your access, you'll want to contact your district administrator for that information, or your ISD lead. If you need help, there's a help link right at the bottom of the screen that'll help provide information about creating a new account, resetting a password, what to do if your account is locked, and how to contact the My Login for third-party services. Secure access support will be provided by your ISD, your local intermediate school district contacts, and those contacts are listed on the site right under help. It lists the contact information for by email, as well as with phone numbers. Please keep in mind that in order to have a secure access to the MISchoolData site, the FERPA forms, the FERPA and HIPAA request forms need to be filled out to be able to grant the secure login. The public site, the public has access to the parent dashboards and a variety of information that is available throughout the site. If you would like to see student level data though, at a building level or district level, or you want to see small numbers, anything less than 10, you will need to have a secure login.
Thank you, Christy. I think we're going to turn it over to Rhonda. Dr. Provost, what's new in MISchoolData?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is the exciting part, moving into what's new. I'm sure you are anticipating what's coming next. First of all, you know that we have a variety of ways to explore new data and the tools that are available, as Dr. Parker previously mentioned. What you will see to the right is the home landing page, which has a new search feature. There's new navigation bars, persona landing pages, and then some trending now and what's coming soon. Looking at the connections to the MISchoolData new homepage, in that top menu bar, basically what you're going to find here is when you pull this down, all the connections that are related to educational entities or organizations that are affiliated with the Michigan Department of Education, part of the MISchoolData stakeholders. You'll see that it really is a one-stop shop because you can access those websites right from pulling down this connections menu tab. Next, we have the wonderful map of the state of Michigan. Actually, we have two different maps here. The first map, in the smaller map, is really outlining all of the links that are available across our wonderful state. And so the next map that we did a screenshot of is really looking at a specific school. So this is, for example, Jackson Public Schools as a snapshot. And what this allows districts to do is, or whether it be a district, ISD, college, or university, it gives you an opportunity to these related locations and also ultimately peer comparisons. When we look at support, Dr. Parker talked about this at the beginning. The support brings down help and support for the portal, as well as the professional development toolkit. And there's also a quick reference here, FAQs, contact us, in the glossary link. And we've put that link in here for purposes of this presentation today so that you can access the various glossary terms that have been built in this site. And then next we have across the top menu is, as Christy had mentioned, with the sign in. And so all of you that were part of the migration, you're aware that as of July 2020, now if you have newbies, if you are at your local level or at your ISD level and you have change in status of roles or you have change in positions, they may need to go through the entire process now to obtain a login, a secure login with permissions. And that's through the My Party third login. The next feature is the search button. The search button is just like really going out on the World Wide Web and trying to search to find information that's related to maybe a specific area that you're looking at. And as was mentioned earlier, there are less clicks now, where before, if you remember, we had to edit report, or continue to select down, pop down menus. That has been enhanced in the redesign process. So that's good to know that we have some expansion there. And then next are the menus. New is the dashboards and education focus areas. Dr. Parker will talk about that shortly. These menus across the second bar here is familiar: early childhood, K-12, student subgroups, post-secondary, and workforce. You will not see a special ed tab. That has been removed. And if you really think about in a K-12 setting, all students are K-12. Special ed is a service for children. So now with our student subgroups, we have an array of opportunities there for you also to do some additional sorts, and Dr. Parker will talk about that. So we have also personas, and our personas are really defined for these specific groups, these stakeholder groups, such as educators, parents, policymakers, and media. Next is the navigation bar. So when you first pull down, for example, the K-12 grade menu bar, what you will find is a landing page. And these landing pages will give you all of the submenus that will follow. However, it's also going to give you the most popular searches or that users are going to most frequently. And then it's also going to provide you with recent updates and then what's coming soon. So in the past, you may have had to go to the help menu to find out what reports were just loaded or what did they say in the talking points. Now it's going to be also right at your fingertip here in the most popular, recent, and upcoming. Featured tools. You will also see with the redesign, the trending now. For example, here we have student enrollment. Featured dashboards, you're going to see the dashboards. They are still in the wonderful report formats that you've been accustomed to with, graphs and what trend data, our schools at a glance, what is the financial transparency. These are also available in the new featured dashboards. And they're also updated frequently. And then Jen talked a little bit about the pinhole reports. So think of the pinhole reports, if it's the legacy or the classic, former site for the MISchoolData capturing of data. Think of that as, okay, we've got these old reports. We're going to still be able to access those reports and they come through a pinhole method. And also the connection with MyKIP, which has been both of us on the redesign train for quite a while here. You're also going to be able to pull MyKIP reports through this pinhole. And that's a really nice collaborative effort on behalf of both teams. And then coming soon will be the comparison tool. And this will certainly be improving with the functionality that you have enjoyed from the legacy site. We're also going to have available where you can compare up to 20 schools on a variety of topics, whether it be on a financial, from an operational standpoint, or from an academic achievement level. Next, I will turn it over to Dr. Lisa Lockman, who will connect us with state initiatives.
Thanks, Dr. Provost. The redesign has been really intentional with connecting to other state initiatives. Of course, Dr. Parker showed the drop down where you can link out to other sites, and there's things like the top 10 strategic education plan. And the team worked really hard. Kathy Miller put together this nice chart that talks about some of the big sources of data that you use in your districts and schools. So you have the data hub, which is just kind of that pipeline of data that helps move data between systems. MISchoolData, where you'll be able to find all the great things that you're used to finding in the legacy site. And many of you also have a local data warehouse that will give you more information about local assessments and local student data. The data hub is that bigger system. It's Ed5 standard and does real-time moving of student information between systems. Well, MISchoolData will have all your reports on mobility and workforce and CTC and your K-12 data. You'll have 98,000 different reports and dashboards to be able to really look at that big view of how your district's doing and be able to compare it with other districts around the state. And your local data warehouse is that data that's typically closer to your own school. You can look at aggregates over years and multiple data sets, and looking at things that are happening within your classroom, a lot of your local assessment data and grading. And now you've heard about the pinholes a couple times, but MISchoolData and MyKIP has worked really hard to make sure that you'll be able to get the data visualizations that you're used to in MISchoolData right in your MyKIP when you're making your school improvement plans.
Thank you, Dr. Lockman. I'm going to take over and talk a little bit about the navigation of menus and personas. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what, to build on what Dr. Provost said with regard to the menus and personas. For the most part, the menus are what you're familiar with. One of the big changes will be the fact that special ed is now embedded in K-12, but those main menus are still out there. They're listed here. One that is a change though is this dashboard and education focus areas. So really the concept of menus is still the same. Personas is going to be a shift for us. It's going to be a shift in our thinking and a shift in the way we do business in MISchoolData Redesign. You now are assuming a persona. You can be who you want to be, and you can also approach the data sets and the data with the frame of reference of the persona or the hat that you wear. So if you are an educator and you go to the educator persona, you will be seeing a lot of the common things an educator would be running within the portal. So it does make it a little bit quicker and one-stop shopping based on using a persona, and that's kind of the flavor of what a persona is. You can also be thinking about parents and policymakers in media. If you were trying to do a presentation for your parents, or you needed to get information for policymakers, when they enter that persona, again, that homepage for that persona has a lot of the hyperlinks or hot links or reports that are common to that hat that they wear. With many of our menus and our personas, we have these landing pages that Dr. Provost talked a little bit about. Here's an example of the post-secondary landing page, and then the most popular, the recent updates, and then the sub menus. So that's kind of a common navigation in the way we do business within the portal. There is also those menu landing pages that have a common flavor, okay? So when any landing page gets landed on, whether it's early childhood or the K-12 landing page or the post-secondary or et cetera, the landing page is kind of a home page for that menu. It has some of the common hyperlinks that we would run, common reports that we would generate. So many of our early childhood folks, when they come to this landing page, they may want to look at program participation or pathways to kindergarten. I think CEPI has done an incredible job in trying to streamline the portal based on our wants and our needs. Those persona landing pages, as is shared here, the educator landing page, if you were to come to the educator landing page as a persona, you would see lots of the things that we run as educators, as K-12, a lot of the quick reports, they're at your fingertips. We encourage you to check out that educator landing page. It's a really great example of one-stop shopping. So in the spotlight is the educator persona page. So you'll see in the slide deck, we've kind of screenshotted it. And as the site evolves, here are some of the examples of what's landing there right now. There are some feature dashboards. There is quick links to state testing and maps. There's also quick links to things like post-secondary or career tech ed, as well as the professional development calendar. And there are also some of the old favorites like our tools for school improvement or our CTE reports. So the educator persona, we encourage you, if you are brand new to the portal, that's one of the first places you should go for shopping for data on MISchoolData. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about the navigation of the brand new dashboards and education focus areas. So the dashboard and education focus areas is what we used to do in the legacy site as a 30,000-foot view. We used to take folks to the parent dashboard, the My dashboard. We took them to Our Schools at a Glance. We took them to best practices. A lot of the things that are listed here were all throughout the portal, but they gave you a 30,000-foot view of your school district. So think about the dashboard and education focus areas as a great starting point for a 30,000-foot view of a district. You can go into either the dashboards or the focus areas. Dashboards are things like best practices and Our Schools at a Glance and the parent dashboard. Those are ever popular. But if you want to focus on things, you can look right down to accountability as well as college opportunities for high school students. And these dashboards are probably going to stay the same, whereas the education focus areas will continue to evolve and grow. If you were looking at trying to put that K-12 hat on and look for something that might be a great first start diving into the MISchoolData redesign, check out within the education dashboard, the school district accountability one. This is a great place to find some things like the parent dashboard, school index, school grades, annual education report, and 31A at risk. So one-stop shopping here in that education focused area, quick link. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Provost, who is going to talk about the early childhood.
All right. Moving into the early childhood pull down menu, or the landing page as we're now calling them. In the previous one that Dr. Parker did a snapshot of, I want to bring a couple items to everyone's attention. You'll notice that in this particular landing page, I was logged in because I have access to the last submenu, which is the third grade assessment outcomes for early childhood participants. So keep that in mind. That is a user role permission. That feature was launched, I believe, in the fall of 2018 to the MISchoolData portal with the secure user access. So just keep that in mind. Our previous snapshot only took you to the pathways to kindergarten. But again, this landing page will take you to those various categories on the portal regarding early childhood programming. So we're going to take a little deeper dive here. The first one is the pull down for the early childhood program participation. This basically shows you the number of Michigan children that were enrolled in early childhood programs by demographic and by specific program. Also, if you hover over about this report at the top of the early childhood program participation, it will give you an explanation of what these reports are. Next, we have the continuity of service and special education. There are actually two features here, service comparisons as well as the service pathways. And these are basically exploring the different pathways that children participated from birth to 3 and then age 3 to kindergarten entry. Next, we have the K-3 absenteeism and early childhood participation, a very similar report that we had in the past. This shows our absent rates for children that were in kindergarten through 3rd grade. And it also provides rate comparison of students who participated in public funded early childhood programs, such as preschool. And again, if you want to know more about the report, just hover over the about this report feature that we have come to know even from the legacy site. Next, we have pathways to kindergarten. And the Pathways to Kindergarten report also provides children who were enrolled in public funded programs prior to entering kindergarten and how each pathway was followed. And then the last feature is the 3rd grade assessment. Again, we're red flagging this because it does, or yellow flagging, I guess here. It does require a secure login. It will provide assessment performance data. How did those students do? If they were in an early childhood program, when they are tested at ELA and mathematics when they become 3rd graders. And again, it's a secure user access. So that's just a snapshot of the features. A lot of the reports are similar to what you've experienced in the past. The titles have just changed a little bit. So, and again, that access to the secure is a role permission. If you don't have that and you feel you need it, then you need to follow up with your technical contact to be able to obtain that.
Thank you, Dr. Provost. I want to talk a little bit about applying in K-12. The K-12 menu, we have already done dashboards and education focus areas. We talked about early childhood. Now we're going to center our energies on K-12. And K-12 is going to roll right into student subgroups. And so I'm going to try to be as brief as I possibly can. I know many of you are on the broadcast, you are K-12 educators, and this is where you've spent a tremendous amount of your time. But you're going to see that although things look a little bit different, it's going to be very familiar to you and very comforting, kind of like sitting in your comfortable chair in front of the fire. It's going to be very warm and welcoming. You'll be very comfortable here. So we're going to dig into K-12. So I am in the K-12 menu. You'll notice it starts out with a K-12 landing page. The landing page gives you some hot links. This really reminds me of the old data tools for school improvement. There's a lot of really quick hyperlinks. If this is your first stop at the shop, I would visit the K-12 landing page just to see what is in the K-12 site, because it's all laid out with a lot of hyperlinks and a lot of quick access to information. To navigate that, the K-12 or the landing pages, you're definitely going to want to go into those submenus and reports. You'll notice that these are called submenus, the menus and then the submenus and then the report access. So we gave you a quick, some screenshots to walk you through the navigation, step 1. Step 2 brings you into the inquiry itself. And you'll notice that these look a little bit like the legacy site, but you do not have that yellow edit report button anymore. Instead, we have a blue update report. And I want to give you just kind of a heads up. Many of the times you will identify your inquiries and you will move through your filtering. Your report will not generate until you click on update the report. So just kind of a little thing for you with user interface. Make sure you are done with creating your filter and then update that report. So again, we've got our landing page, we've got our submenus, we've got some filtering. You can also print and share. You can download, provide feedback, and then use that about this report. There are some student submenus, or there are many submenus in the K-12. There's students all the way down through. I'm going to give you just a quick review because many of them are going to be familiar to you if you have used the legacy site. The student site still has our graduation dropout rate, the non-resident, mobility, attendance. Those are all common features from legacy. It's going to be a very easy shift for you to use that student menu. The school accountability used to be called the school index. This, they have put a lot of our school accountability resources. You'll find the annual ed report, which you should be looking into soon, the at-risk, historical accountability, school grades, and then the school index. So it's one-stop shopping here in school accountability. They brought a lot of those resources that were in disjointed places now into one spot in our K-12 menu. State testing. You will have your 3-8 testing, including PSAT. You will also have the high school assessments. There are also some students not tested and the student growth information, and then the 30 analysis. So state testing is going to continue to evolve. What our state is using for assessment resources are here. They will be reaching back to the legacy site to provide you information for what you might be looking for trends. English learner data, the WIDA, the WIDA reports, any of the information that you might be looking, I would start first on my English learner dashboard because that's a really nice landing spot for you to get the information about the assessments and the student growth. But if you want to dig down deeper, these two inquiries are a little bit more detailed. Alas, here is special ed. Part of the K-12 menu, many of those that you have enjoyed. One of our favorites is the data portraits overview. If you've not run that, you can identify right down to the disability and the statistics and the demographics within your school district. So the special ed menu is now a part of K-12. Career technical ed, one of my personal favorites, and I think it's Dr. Provost's too. The CTE programs that are offered, you can also use the new map. The new map was actually launched in the legacy site, and it has made its way to the new CTE landing page here in our submenu. There's also some wage information. We like to make sure that our high school counselors are very familiar with this CTE section of the portal, as well as some of our workforce and some of our partnerships and businesses. The staffing site is the next. This will be very familiar to you. We continue to have the educator effectiveness on a summary scale. You will not find individual educators and their effectiveness scores here. You will only find summaries. You will also find summary staff counts, as well as an opportunity to download some data files using your school issued email. So should you need further staffing or staffing information, or information from some of the other sources like the rep that they pull into through MISchoolData, here are the additional data files and you can pursue that. The next one is financial and district school information. One of our favorites for our school business officials and our superintendents. We like to see this because it gives us a 30,000 foot view of the finances of our district. It, in most perspectives, provides you trends and financials. It is a really great place to start, would be the Financial Transparency Dashboard. So if you are new to the financial piece, which was part of the Legacy site, check into the Financial Transparency Dashboard on your tour. And then lastly, the K-12 school data files. Although we did give you the opportunity in staffing to download files, here's an opportunity for you to download any of the files should you have the permissions to see them and the information within them. So the last one on the K-12 list is K-12 school data files. You'll enter your inquiry information and then make sure you hit, this will say update report once your inquiries are ready to go. In the spotlight, it's just an example of the reports that you might run. You'll notice that these reports here in the bottom right-hand corner are coming through the pinhole from the Legacy. You are going to be seeing some of those old colors because this is historical information. As the site evolves, we know that those color schemes are going to be transitioning and transforming. But for the most part, most of the inquiries that you will have run or have run in the Legacy site will have just a little bit of a different look and feel here with the inquiry settings. But again, use that update report and it should be pretty familiar to you as you're moving into the Redesign site. And the last piece I wanted to share with you, I believe Rhonda is coming up next, is the comparison tool. So the comparison tool was mentioned briefly earlier, but this is coming to the home page. It's going to allow you to compare up to 20 districts or schools on a lot of different indicators. And so we're very excited for the comparison piece to go live. So that should be coming soon. All right, so let's talk about student subgroups. I am gonna dig in, I guess, to student subgroups before I turn it back to Rhonda and to Lisa to land the plane. The student subgroups are actually a sub-indicator of the K-12, but because we did so much work with some of our subgroups, we now have our own menu for the student subgroups because a lot of these inquiries were common and they wanted to have a landing page for it. So the subgroups section here is its own menu. You'll come to a student subgroup landing page and it will say, here are some of the subgroups that are commonly requested in MISchoolData. From early middle college to economically disadvantaged to foster children, etc. On our next slide, we've given you kind of a nutshell on some of those subgroups that were commonly requested in the portal. And so what CEPI did is they decided, let's make this its own private Idaho. Let's give users an easy access to those specific subgroups and a little easier way to run reports. So we really like this new feature in the portal. So we've given you some steps should you decide to come back to the PowerPoint. Again, you'll be picking that subgroup category or that report category and you're going to run the reports. You'll come into a second screen where it will give you some options of some of the reports that are most popular for that subgroup. And so you can pick and choose. There is really not an order except for the popularity. So student enrollment counts report is the example and K-3 absenteeism is the second. There is no manner, there's just a list of popular reports and you can go ahead and choose them. You'll notice here on the left-hand side that you can also change your results to all or based on location. So you've got some filtering options here on the left side. And then lastly, you'll be very familiar with the inquiry settings. It'll bring you in and it'll say, okay, you've picked this subgroup, you've picked this report, what's the district that you want to run it for or the building or etc. So you'll go through the inquiry settings and last but not least, it's the blue update report button, one of our favorites. After today's broadcast, if you want to play, we've given you a lot of spotlights to focus on. For spotlight for this section, we would recommend you get in there and dig into the economically disadvantaged. We've given you an example of what it looks like. We've given a student enrollment count report and right down to when you run the report. So for future reference, if you are digging in and you want to do some more exploring, check out the spotlights that we've indicated throughout the materials.
Thanks, Jen. I'm ready to dig into some post-secondary and workforce reports.
Okay.
So you noticed when we were looking at the menu for K-12, we skipped right over that post-secondary because they also have their own menu. So they show up in those two spots that you can access them either through the K-12 menu or the post-secondary. This provides reports on colleges and universities or enrollment by high school, and you can request data files. This is the post-secondary landing page, which gives you some of those popular queries. I know my districts are always asking for information about where their students are attending college or whether students are on track for college graduation, and that's where you can do searches to find that information. And our spotlight for post-secondary is those college data files. So you select your college or university and then add your email address, and you'll see the email below. Sample is what you'll get, and you'll be able to click back and view that data file. And workforce. So what are kids doing if they're not, after they're out of college or if they go straight into the workforce? It's going to talk about the CTC fields and whether they're in that area of employment, entry-level jobs, median annual wages, all those kind of things that your high school and CTC folks are interested in. The workforce landing page has all that information on median wages and educational attainment after high school. It's a great place to go if you have counselors looking for advising students or parents looking at jobs in your area. And our spotlight for workforce is the downloading the data files. So you're just going to go in and select those settings and click the share this report button at the bottom.
Great.
All
So,
right.
Dr. Provost, bring us home.
Well, you have had quite a journey in getting started today with the redesign. I hope that you have been able to maneuver and tested some of these areas of the portal since your email back from September. I think it was around the 25th of September. Know that all of these reports, again, that you've come to know on the legacy site are available for a couple months. However, we're hoping that these webinar series will give you the confidence to move to the next steps with the redesign portal and the professional development opportunities that we've developed for you as you transition to the new site. Keep in mind that today's session is recorded. The tiny URL is posted in the chat in several areas. And also a reminder to feel free to follow up with your regional advisory contact. For the there's 10 of them in the state. You know what region that you're located in, and feel free to reach out at your regional level to obtain any resources or assistance that you need as we continue this journey this year with our updates and courses that you've come to know from the Train the Trainer network. For follow-up, more information, the Professional Development Toolkit, as Dr. Parker mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, this is evolving. There will be more information weekly that will be, you'll be able to obtain from here. Also, if you have any technical questions, we recommend you go to the CEPI Help Desk. If you have issues or you need a third login for the MISchoolData portal, here's the connection for that, the My Login third party. And then if you have any other content information that you need to follow up on with your login, your technical contact at your ISD is another location where you can obtain access. Any Train the Trainer network questions, Dr. Jennifer Parker and Kathy Miller are your resources there. Just a reminder, we have posted a couple times also in the chat box today for the sketchies and for the attendance roster. If you click into that link that's available there, you should be able to go in and update where needed, and then it will automatically grant you, once you go through the steps, the prompts, it will grant you your certificate for your sketchies, and then you'll have to go into the site, the state site, to be able to obtain those. On behalf of our professional development team, we would like to thank you for attending today's webinar. I think we've answered all the questions that were posted in the chat today. We thank you for all you do for Michigan students and staff in our wonderful state. We hope that you stay healthy and safe through these unprecedented times, and feel free to reach out at any time. And please join us in the future for more webinars that we have scheduled between now and May. So thank you.